Welcome to another podcast or a vlog by your host JBK. Coaching with JBK. I'm not gonna go too much into results because I've had to think about it. Anybody can do results, anyone. I'm gonna look at sort of the coaching aspects of what you might see on the pitch and the sort of little intricate details that you might not get into as a coach or more as a player or more as a fan. The reason why I want to do this is I've looked at this from a different perspective of there's been some good results over the last few weeks and some good results since the return of football, and there is a potentially a new lockdown coming for amateur sports. But I feel like there's something within this, not just this country, but around the world that people have kind of latched onto. For two things. One, the high press. And two, a structured team that everybody needs to know what they're doing at all times. Now, the first thing that I'm going to mention about the high press, two things that need to happen is you need to have the players. You need to have the psychology that you have put into your team that they won't always have the ball 100% of the time. So that's the first thing. That's one of the key things that I would say is frantic about the high press. Now, there's a lot more teams working with this high press in amateur football and trying to use 3 to 5 players to do so. Just simply because we're now finding that playing out from the back seems to be the most common theme in maybe England. I haven't been to other countries, but to see it. But yeah, that's what I would say. So one of the things that I've heard, the high press seems to work for most teams, and I get why people want to use it. It seems like if you can win the ball at a quicker speed and can win the ball at a high intensity, but in a more high position on the field, you can probably be closer to goal as soon as possible. With that said, I don't think that always works for every team that you actually have in your possession. I think it needs to be addressed that sometimes a high press doesn't always work, which also negates that you need to have a high line, which also negates that people may slack off if the ball gets played over the top, because what they may have been drilled into is playing a high line with a high defensive press. Now, if your striker isn't necessarily pressing, then you don't have a high press. You just basically have somebody running into to close somebody down, close the opposition down. It doesn't work. Then you have maybe the 2 wingers, maybe a number 8 and number 10 coming in behind just to try and help with that press. That would need to be worked on over a period of maybe, in my opinion, if you've got the players as an amateur team and can train more than once a week, then you can probably get it done within maybe a month. But then you would have to literally work on that and pretty much forget everything else at the same time. That being said, you also have to know that those same players will always be at training week in, week out, and they won't have any problems with working on the high press. So they will need to know what's going forward. Another thing that I'm going to throw into that is the formation. 3-5-2. Now, Antonio Conte did this at Chelsea in 2014, 2015. Won the league with it. He tried to play a 4-2-3-1 before that. And please don't forget that there's a goalkeeper at the end of that. So there's 1-4-2-3-1. And it wasn't working. So he had players that weren't playing in positions that really helped. Then A little known fact of Jody Morris apparently was playing the 3-5-2 with the academy boys at Chelsea, and he decided, well, maybe this is the right way to go. So again, he used it. In Italy, it was a major thing that it was used. That was used for years. 3-5-2. But the difference was that it wasn't a high press. It was very much a mid block. With anybody trying to force their way through. If they were going to force their way through, the ball would go over the top, and it wouldn't really go anywhere, because as far as the top teams were concerned, if they had the players, they could shoot from anywhere, and that's what it was. So when you've got AC Milan, Juventus, Roma, Inter Milan, Fiorentina, Lazio, all playing a specific style, eventually it became that there wasn't a way of playing, it was just the way of playing. Since then, Italy have reignited the flame of possession football, positional football within Europe. Spain made a massive change, decided to go with a 1-4-3-3 with a defensive midfielder to be the pivot player, to win the ball back, but also receive the ball from the back five, and possibly play forward. Again, another formation change was the 1-4-5-1 that Arsenal famously used in the 2006 run up to the Champions League final, which left Henry on his own as a sole striker, and he performed that well, that to a high standard. But then he had the right players behind him to either feed the ball to him, or on the other side, it was basically a flat midfield five. With Henry just pretty much giving them the options of where he needed to play forward. Looking at the 3-5-2 nowadays, it can be interpreted in so many different ways. Whether you have two pivots, whether you have one pivot with two central midfielders, whether you even have one player playing as a defensive midfielder or pivot, then you have a central midfielder, but then you also have an attacking midfielder, which would likely negate that there would be a lopsided triangle, but it would be one where you could see the pattern that works for the team. Like as I said, with the high press, with the 3-5-2, you can see why people will go for that. But at the same time, I'm also thinking, if you haven't got the players, then don't do it. Some will go with a 4-3-3. Some goes with a 4-1-4-1. Some go with these different formations that you go, well, let's play with a single pivot player. I don't think you have to have a single pivot player. I just think that's what people have decided to go with, and it works for their team and their players, because it's been well drilled into them, and it's worked. And I get that. There's other formations that you can base it around. 4-4-2, with one of the midfielders, becoming a striker, or 4-3-3, 1-4-3-3 with the defensive midfielder, but then you have two central midfielders and two wingers. So yeah, so many different things there that you can justify it on. But yeah, I thought, let me go in with a different direction and just address the situation that we have with formations, with the high press, and there's just it works. It works for certain teams, but when you haven't trained with the right players, or there's always something that stops a player from coming to training, you have to kind of think, well, does that work? And if it doesn't, then it's not worth using. But yes, again, it's one that I wanted to speak about, and I'm glad that I did for this evening. And I hope everybody enjoys this vlog. I may have missed a point. If there is a point that I've missed, then by all means bring it up on the vlog chat, and I hope to see everybody soon. Hopefully with another PT blog through yours truly, JBK. And a quick shout out to all that make this possible. So Pitch Talk themselves with SSLGA straight shooting, LJA sorry, straight shooting Liam Angel, the G-Man Gavin Henry. We got Jezzy Fizzle all the way over on the other side of the world. Congrats to you, my man. Well done. And we also got Nathan. So hopefully Nathan still supporting as ever the big name Arsenal with the G-Man, and hopefully Liverpool can produce a different formation coming this season with a possible 3-5-2 with the type of players that they've got going forward. But I digress. With the shout outs and with the conversation that I've had, I will see you guys later. Yours truly, JBK. Peace out.